Hi everyone, it's Robin. I'm back with card number 3 of Christmas card ideas for 2013. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm featuring a couple of products for Wild Orchid Crafts, but I'm going to show you 2 card variations, and then we're going to do a tutorial for a 3rd card variation. And so let me go ahead and get my sign out of the way. The theme of these cards will all be using your die cuts. Now it can be using your Big Shot Sizzix dies. It can be using your, let me just show you here the die cuts that I used. This one actually came from a Big's die, and that's a Sizzix ornament ball that I've used. Just lined it up on my piece of cardstock mat, and then you can see here I have several different layers. I have a silver layer, I have this glitter paper that came from Hobby Lobby, this designer paper came from this Christmas Wish by My Mind's Eye, and then just stamped that here with, this is a Waltzing Mouse Compliments of the Season. And then the second variation is using, and I'll talk more about the products and what I did, but the second one is using your flatter. It can be your Nestabilities, or this one happens to be a Marion Creatables. You can certainly use your Cricut or your Silhouette or any kind of die cuts just to create a window mat, if you will. So basically, what both of these feature is using embossing folders and creating a mat with your die cuts. So you can see this one here, I've used the ornament ball, and then the embossing folder that I used on this one is the Tim Holtz Sizzix Snowflakes one. Actually, I've used that on both of them, and we'll be using it again on the tutorial that I do. And that's again this one. And all I did was I die cut I centered, in this case, I cut my mat, and then I just centered the little Christmas tree right on here. And you're not going to see it because I don't have it out of the package. Let me just pop it out here because the packaging isn't very good. I just centered it on my my mat, and then I used a Post-it note to hold it in place, ran it through my Big Shot, and then I did my embossing. And because if I would have done the embossing, obviously, and then did the die cut, it would have flattened out my embossing. So, and then there's actually 3 layers, 2 counting the card base, and then I did another layer at the back, and then with that one I just used this poinsettia die or embossing folder, and that I picked up through Stampin' Up. So let me see. This one I used the bow from Wild Orchid Crafts, and that is one of the already pre-tied deep red, which is a perfect Christmas color, I might add, and the work's already done. So this would be a great one for mass producing. You just do all your die cutting at once and do all of your embossing at once, and then these are already done for you. You can see the item number there. And then just take a couple days and just do in stages, and then all your Christmas cards are done. I have this one popped up on foam tape, and then I just attach that with a glue dot. This one, I love the colors of this one so much. This is a cherry cobbler, and I've spritzed everything on both of them, but this one you can really see it. I'm not sure if it's picking up in the camera, but with the shimmer spray. But this is cherry cobbler and always artichoke Stampin' Up cardstock, but the colors to me are so rich and pretty. I love them. So on here, these are just what I had left from last year's buttons that I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and that came in a pack like this. Just picked up in the button section. I can't even remember what the brand is, but I just cut the shanks off with my Tim Holtz tonic scissors. Okay, and then this banner, I just looked for any banner, so any of your die cuts would work that are like a Christmas shape, and then you just back it with another layer behind it. I added the texture just to add depth and interest, and then I added the banner again as a sentiment, but also to add depth and interest. And this banner, let me just share with you where that came from. I kind of pieced it together. I just looked through things that I had, and I found 2 different companies. This is a Tattered Angels, came out in 2009, called Timeless Romance, And then I just used, it's actually a Valentine's Day set, huge set. I took it out of the packaging just because it was too big to show, and also because it was there was a terrible glare, and I'm still getting a glare because of the gloss on the cardstock here. But I just used that banner there, and if you're interested, I'm not sure if you'll see the item code there, but there's my attempt at showing you. And then the actual stamped sentiment came from this Close to My Heart evergreen, and then there again is the item number for that, and then there's the sentiment there. The colored inks I used on this one are Cherry Cobbler and Always Artichoke, and then on this one I was just pulling from the pattern paper, and I'll show you what that paper stack is. This Rich Razzleberry was a good match, and that is just the Christmas Wish from My Mind's Eye. If my voice sounds funny, I just had a sneezing fit, which I edited out so you don't have to endure. So forgive me if I sound nasally, but I think I'm coming on with a cold because of the change in weather. But anyway, okay, so back to the card. This poinsettia here, I think is just, I love this. I think it needed something right here, and I think that was a perfect perfect little accent piece. And that came, this is the smaller of the two sizes that Wild Orchid Crafts carries. This is the 25, you get 25 in the pack, white mulberry paper poinsettia. And I will have the codes to these down below, as always. So again, it's just nice and shimmery and pretty. And so let's go ahead and get started on the third card variation. It's a twist of this one, just with like a reverse color palette. I went and switched to a different color of red, but let's go ahead and get started on that. Let me just give you a close-up of this. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need is a piece of, I'm just going to share with you, again, use whatever die cuts you have. I'm not trying to get you to go out and buy a bunch of die cuts and embossing folders and things like that, but just give you an idea for a Christmas card that you can put together with the supplies that you may already have on hand. But what I'm just going to share with you what I'm using that I have on hand for this card. This is a piece of Always Artichoke in 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. I've scored it at 4.25 inches to create an A2 size card, and this one I'm actually folding in a portrait style. So the next layer that I have is a little smaller because it's just going to be a window layer, and so I actually could have made it half the size and then just put it in the center, but I already had this cut. It was a piece of scrap in my scrap bin, and so all I did was I ran it through the poinsettia embossing folder, and again that's this embossing folder, and I sprayed it with the shimmer spray. So what I'm going to do is just adhere that right down here. I've already done the prep work to save time, and I knew I was going to have a little bit of a longer video showing you the three cards, so I wanted to just make every step that I could go a little faster for you guys. So I went ahead and used score tape. I wouldn't recommend using ATG for something that has texture for a card because it could end up popping up. Now, some people may have good success with that. I've seen it pop up, so I just went ahead and either would use liquid glue. Like on my sample, I went ahead and I just used my Scotch Quick Dry. So now the next layer I went ahead and I used that Marion Creatables, this one, and I cut a piece of white cardstock that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I ran it through my Big Shot and cut out this Christmas tree. And then, like I mentioned, I ran it through my Big Shot again using this Tim Holtz embossing folder that has a snowflake texture. Now anyone would work. I think it would be pretty with a lot of different embossing folders, but that's just the one that I had handy and I thought would look nice. So, and I have a very overabundance of foam tape on here, so bear with me. I will probably speed this up. Okay, and then all you're going to do is just don't worry about where this is at. Just layer this like you normally would with a 1/8 inch border around. And then with the texture, it's going to be a little hard because it will shrink with using the embossing folder, so it won't be a proper 1/8 inch. So just do the best you can to get the layer on there. Okay, that's pretty good. It's a little skinnier on this side, but you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. You guys get the idea, and that's all that matters. Okay, now what I did was I had created this wreath, and all I did to create that was I took some textured cardstock, then I just used this evergreen punch, and that was a Martha Stewart punch, and I just punched out a bunch of them, and I created this wreath, and then added this bow, added these 3mm self-adhesive rhinestones on there, and all I'm going to do is just, and then I'm going to attach that using Scotch Quick Dry, but I'm not going to attach it just yet. I want to lay everything out, and I know you're not going to be able to see hardly any of the Christmas tree, but you do get the idea that it's there. And then I have the same banner that I've created, and then to get this little curvature here, all I did was, after I stamped it and cut it out, I just used my bone folder this way to create a curve, and then I flipped it over and just did the end this way. So you see it gets that little banner curve, and then that is going to go right down here. And then I have either this that I can attach down here, or I can go ahead and use the poinsettia again, but I thought just as a variation I would just go ahead and use that. And then I have these that will go up here. So let me go ahead and get these attached. I'm going to attach these with a glue dot, and I like to use my tweezer bees to do that. And it looks like I'm going to have to use a couple. I don't have proper shank removers. I just use the Tim Holtz ones to get as close as I can. Not shank remover, but the tonic scissors. And so these are awfully big buttons, but it doesn't get as close as like a shank remover I think would. I've never actually used one, but I see them getting pretty close to the actual button back. Okay, and all I had left was the really big buttons. So if I was to go out and buy a new pack, I probably would choose smaller buttons, or maybe even a different style, I don't know, but this was what I had on hand, and so I just decided to put them to use, and I think they look cute still. Alrighty, and then I think I will go ahead and go with this one, but I'm going to attach that last just for balance, so I know where everything's going to go. So I think I like where this is at. Let me zoom in for you guys. Okay, this thing's so, it's not delicate, but it feels like it is. Okay. So you can see how, oops, it's just a bunch of the little punch outs all attached in a circle. So it's a little time consuming, but really not as long as maybe you'd think. Just really maybe 10 minutes. So just something I felt like doing. Okay, and then that's going to take a few minutes to dry. And then for this, I think I'm going to go ahead and add a glue dot to this end. Get off my tweezers. Okay, and then right here to this bump as well. I really appreciate all the comments that you guys have left on my videos. I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying this series. I know that I am enjoying making it for you guys. I really am. I missed making videos, so it's really, really nice to be back. Okay, and I have that over to the left a little bit, just because I wanted to make room for the flower. This one I'm watch on here, make sure it's straight. And then if I had my hot glue gun plugged in, I'd probably, oh, and then this this brad here, all this is, I have, let me show you, I have these that I picked up a long time ago, Calypso tin, the poinsettias. And then I have one of these mixed color small moonstone brads from Wild Orchid Crafts. And it just comes in a bunch of different colors. And like I said, these are the small ones. They come small, medium, large. Not sure if they are in stock at the moment. I didn't check before doing the tutorial, but if it is, I will have the item code in the info bar. Come on. Alright, and then just attach that right over here. And put it, making sure that the petal lines up where you can still see the Mary, but I want to get it kind of close to it. Okay, so that is the card, and giving you a variation, and then I just went ahead and finished off the inside. Stamped that with, let me go ahead and show you that. I added some rhinestones, and then just used some of the scraps to create the little banner there. And this stamp set is an older Stampin' Up! Set, not sure if it's still available, called Snow Swirled. I really like the set. I've used it an awful lot over the years. So that is card number 3 in the Christmas card ideas for you guys for 2013. Actually, this is 3 different card ideas for today, but variations in really just the theme of using your die cuts to create a layer, and then using embossing and using your die cut to create layers on your cards. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope that you'll consider giving it a thumbs up, and I will have more Christmas cards for you guys coming up. I have other projects to share with you, so they may be scattered out throughout the next coming weeks in between other projects. So again, I will have the Wild Orchid Crafts product codes in the info bar down below. This was my second to the last project as a design team member for Wild Orchid Crafts. And so I've really enjoyed the 3+ years I've been on the design team, but it's been great. But it's my term is nearly over. October 15th is my last day. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask, and I'm always happy to help. Have a great day. Bye-bye.